What's up, it's Chase Young. You're listening to the Washington Football Talk Podcast.
Another hot day in Richmond. Sounds like a song. Lot to discuss. Saw some good stuff from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Saw some bad stuff from a tackle. We're going to get into all of it. Washington Football Talk Podcast starts now. What up, everybody? Washington Football Talk Podcast. I'm JP Finley. We're brought to you by Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. Check them out at oarsmanva.com. 6 locations all over Northern Virginia. They'll take care of you. I bought 4 cars from them now. I mean what I say. Peter Haley and Mitchell Tischler are here. Gentlemen, how do you do?
Yes, I've been in your car. It's a very nice car from Oarsman Automotive, and I do well. I am doing well. There's 3 podcast hosts, but only 2 shirts on, and I'll let the listeners
leave the
shirtless.
intrigue.
Yeah.
Today was smoking hot out there, so
Smoking.
there was a lot of sweat to be had around that practice field, but it was a lot crisper of a practice. It was good seeing the offense move the ball a little more. They were able to get in rhythm a little bit, and Fitzpatrick looked a little bit like maybe we got some training camp Fitz magic out of him.
Well, and speaking of Fitzpatrick, we're going to have a one-on-one interview with him, and we're not going to delay. We're going to get to it. Yesterday we shouted out Maggie and her dad Jeremy. Today we got to see two of the legends, 2 of the ambassadors, Tim Meek and B. Hall. Great seeing those dudes. Everybody, reminder, 9:30 at the hydration station. Whoever's here in Richmond, we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Friday morning, yes.
Friday morning, yes. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And listen, a lot of people are asking about a podcast party. I absolutely want to do one. We got to there's some things that have to be cleared to be able to do one. And sadly, unfortunately, it seems like we're going the opposite direction of the cool stuff we can do. But we'll not even getting into that. I'm so over all of those topics. Let's talk about Fitz. That last drive, he was crisp, man. And practice just kind of ended when Ricky Seals-Jones went down. That didn't look good. I'm confident Ron gave 0 update, right?
We didn't even ask.
Okay. But Fitz looked good, and I think you'll hear – I asked him kind of about this specifically. I'm ready for my first bold prediction.
Ooh.
It's July 29th. What the hell
I want to know
is
if
it?
you're walking back all 3 quarterbacks starting.
July 29th,
No,
yes.
Definitely not. I'm just playing the numbers. This team has had at least 3 quarterbacks start for the last 3 years, and there's an extra game.
Yeah, and we know
yeah.
the staff
I hope I'm wrong, but
We know the staff likes the other 2 quarterbacks who don't have beards.
Let's let JP get to his bold prediction.
Logan Thomas leads this team in touchdown receptions.
I like it.
It's a good bold prediction.
Yeah.
He's huge. It's wild when you see.
is huge.
I mean, the tight end group is enormous because Bates is big, Samus is big, but Logan uses his body so well. And that play on the sideline where Fitz hit him and Logan had to go all the way up to get it, and it wasn't quite a toe tapper, but it was on the sideline. I just see that happening. I just see that big body in the red zone. My first bold prediction at camp: Logan Thomas leads this team in touchdown receptions.
What was great is you just talked about that play. It wasn't quite a toe tapper, but close to it. Earlier in practice, when they were doing the quarterbacks just throwing through the receivers, Logan Thomas caught a ball along the sideline. No defense was around, but kind of toe tapped and was practicing basically staying in bounds on a ball over there. And then an hour later, 2 hours later, you just saw him use what he was practicing in a game situation. It's cool to see it happen that quickly.
Now, if this was Pete, I would give him a very hard time, so I'm going to give myself a hard time, self-chastising myself here. Maybe it's not a bold prediction because Logan did lead the team in touchdown receptions last year.
That was going to be my nitpicking, but I still think there's
You're
a
allowed
lot
to-
of weapons and there's a lot of people.
You can pick it.
Yeah, no.
But, like, Terry also saw a significant decrease in touchdowns. You'd like him to be your leading touchdown guy.
Right.
But I don't know catches, yards with Logan because there's a lot of mouths to feed, or maybe they're not, depending on what's happening with Curtis Samuel. But I just see the end zone, man.
Yeah, and it's nice that you brought up Terry because kind of the thing I've been tracking is the Terry versus William battle, and it's a very overused thing of this player's going to make that player better, but those 2 are definitely making each other better. William Jackson, I know JP's very high on him. I know a lot of people are. I am as well. But watching him battle Terry's such a good route runner. They've had already a couple jump ball opportunities where they're battling, they're wrestling, they come down, you don't know who has it. Today, Terry slipped at one point. William picked off his first pass of training camp. Later on, Terry out-jumped him for 1 down the sideline for about 20 yards. So really have enjoyed watching 17 and 23 square off. And Ron has too, because I asked him about it, and he said, I love it. They're going to make each other better, as I've now said 4 times.
And as you talk about Terry, move right along to De'Ami Brown, who is getting a ton of work here at camp. He's getting a lot of work with ones. You see him working. He had a big-time catch down the field, 40 yards down the field on a deep ball from
Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen. Beat Bobby McCain and Benjamin St. Juice. Made a great over-the-shoulder catch. Would have been a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah.
It was exactly what we know De'Ami Brown can do when we see him make those big plays, and we saw it. We saw it happen here today.
Yeah, I think at some point I want to see De'Ami, have a 15-yard in route, handle a screen. But like this year, when he's still the third or fourth guy, if he can just pop up every once in a while with a 50-yarder down the sideline, let all the others handle the 6 catches for 80 yards. If he can just be 1 for 50 every week, that's going to be his role.
Well, and he's getting the work. Like, we talked about Cosby gets the work because Lucas is on the COVID list. De'Ami's getting more work because Samuel's not out there.
Yeah.
You said being the third or fourth guy, he might be your WR2, depending on when and what happens with
You've been
groin
on
over
Samuel watch, and you're not concerned. Where you at today? I didn't get to see much of him today.
I didn't see much of him today either, but it's not. I didn't see much of him today because I wasn't over here on the half field where the injured guys work. I don't know that we're going to see him in Richmond. We have 2 more days here, then the day off, and then if we don't see him back on Monday in Ashburn for that first day, my number goes up. But I'm sticking where I'm at, 7.5.
You were at 10.
I know,
He
and then I
dialed
went
it
down. I
back.
dialed it back yesterday.
Where are you at, Pete?
Remain at 15. Love my number.
I think Monday could be an important day.
Yeah, if we don't see him Monday, I'm going to be up around the 15 number, close to where you guys are. And
Where are you gonna
guys
go?
will probably go up there.
To 20. I just think it's weird to keep calling it minor and saying there's no concern when he had 6 weeks in between OTAs and training camp, and it's still bugging him enough to keep him on pup.
Yeah, and Monday's just an arbitrary date we're picking, right?
Right.
But that's a week of training camp
Yeah.
Well,
after no minicamp.
right.
Talk all you want about how they know him and they
That's
are
so I
familiar
did
with
a
him.
stock down report for Nina. I did stock up, stock down, and my stock up was Landon Collins, right? No
Yeah.
argument there. My other stock up was Sam Cosmi, which he's just getting the work. He's getting worked, but he's getting the work.
Yeah.
It's okay for him to be getting worked. He's a rookie tackle going against Chase Young. But, like, he's going to have to get a lot better between now and September 12th if he's going to start.
I agree entirely.
And they don't have pads on.
No. Well,
and he
certainly,
can't cut.
I wasn't even going to go there. If you remember last year, I think I said it to Pete at one point that all of the Chase Young highlights we were seeing in training camp were when he was going against kind of the second and third and fourth string tackles. And I was a little concerned. I was like, listen, when he's in there against Morgan Moses and against, Brandon Sheriff, like on that side, you don't see him make a ton of plays. This was Chase Young during training camp last year. And Chase talked about that today at the podium, how Morgan gave him work last year and he had a lot of trouble beating him. But then when he got on the field for games, he kind of knew what to expect and it helped bring him along. And Chase talked about the best thing he can do for Sam Cosmi is to keep whipping his ass and
He said
making
destroying
plays.
him,
destroying him,
which I love.
and getting him used to it. So
He is destroying.
Yeah, mission accomplished so far, 99.
We're 2 days into camp with a rookie. There's a lot of things happening, and you can equate it hopefully to what Chase did last year one-on-one with Morgan Moses, and hope that it makes Cosmi a better player. And when they put on pads and they're ready to slug it out, he has a better showing.
I agree with that. Like, too early to be concerned about much, but I don't know, man. I really want to commit to a COVID-free podcast. I don't want to get into it, but how long is Lucas out?
I think
it
we tried to
14
ask
days?
Ron yesterday, and he just kind of said whenever we get him back. I don't know, 10 days, 14 days.
Well, because I think if you're vaccinated or not matters too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're vaccinated, you need 3 consecutive days of negative tests, and then you can come back on that next day. So the minimum is 4 days. If he's unvaccinated, it's 10 days automatic. So
we don't know.
we don't know. The long and short of it is we don't know.
You want to run through your notes? I have my one thing. Yesterday I surprised you guys when I brought it up, even though we've been doing that for
You
years.
surprised us 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yesterday we were prepared.
That's how you know you're at training camp, when the
Yeah.
time starts to blend together.
I love one thing.
I'm ready for my one thing.
Mitch,
Any other notes, Peter?
just of note, Ron in his presser ruled out Kyle Allen for now in the starting competition. We knew that basically, but he said Kyle could be involved later. Just needs him to become a little bit healthier, a little bit more sure of himself. But it is Fitz and Heineke. Almost said Heineken.
Heineke.
I could use a Heineken right now. And
You
as
had
I
too
wrote,
many Heinekens last night.
as I wrote in my
You had a
practice
few.
notes, while Fitz isn't lighting it up, he's comfortably ahead of Heineke. I have not been too impressed with what I've seen from number 4 so far. A little erratic for my taste. Mitch, one thing.
Yeah, today was not a great day for Heineke. My one thing had to do with the tight ends. Early on in practice,
Mitch reserved this one thing early. He said, Pete, I'm noticing this, and I'm not going to tell you about it if you use it. So
we're
here's my one
balancing
thing.
because Pete has to write practice notes, so I try to give him a nugget or two when I see it, but I also don't want him to then take the practice notes, the nuggets that I give him, and use it as one thing. It was kind of simple, but you just saw the
steel trap
I
mine.
know.
steel trap.
So flawless.
The tight ends were kind of broken up into 2 groups. You had the pass-catching tight ends, which included Logan Thomas and
Ricky Seals-Jones.
Seals-Jones, which obviously he got hurt later in practice. And then you had the younger guys and guys who probably need a little more work on the blocking side of things, working with the offensive line, going through their rotations. And that was the Tamara Hemingways of the world, Samus Reyes and John Bates. And it was just interesting to see kind of that division, the breakdown of those 2 groups of tight ends, because as you look at them from afar, as we look at them, the guys who are going to be on the field on those third downs look to be Logan Thomas, and Ricky Seals-Jones is a veteran tight end who's caught a bunch of passes in the league. So get those young guys a little more work on the blocking side of things, get them ready to play.
Excellent. Love the tight ends. Speaking of a crowded position group, I'm going to go to...
Can I add something on the tight ends real quick?
Yeah. Please.
So I think you guys were both over there. I caught Pete Hainer going in on John Bates and Samus Reyes, and I have video of it, and I definitely can't post it. And I post pretty much anything, but you definitely can't post that. And the overarching message was, I can't drop you to... So he was very upset with how high they were getting in their blocking. They were standing up, right? Which is not what you want to do. It's not an athletic position when the guy across from you is 330 and runs a 4.5. Mm-hmm. He really wants them to stay low. And something to the effect of, I can't drop you MFs any lower on the depth chart, so I might just have to MFing cut you.
I mean, when we talk about the tight ends,
and here's the thing. He's not cutting them.
Yeah,
like, we all know it. But, like, I love it. I just love it. I just
Bates
love
and
it.
Reyes were both were alternating in the Kyle Allen reps of the portion of the offense.
Yeah.
The reps that you would assume
They're
would go
not.
to,
Nobody's getting cut. Those 2 are not getting cut.
I'm not saying they are, but it was
I just
interesting
love
seeing
it.
them
Like,
seeing them out there playing with the third string.
Yeah, Pete Hainer is a little more foul-mouthed than Pete Haley, but Pete Haley can be foul-mouthed too. I'm looking at safety, and Jeremy Reeves, he just seems like one of Rivera's favorites. Rivera's talked often about how cutting him last year was very difficult and how he loved how Reeves grinded on the practice squad. Of course, he got that opportunity late in the year and was pretty productive in a somewhat limited role at safety. And we've already harped on how crowded it is back there. But I just think Reeves is going to make it. He had a couple pass breakups today. He's an aggressive player.
one of those pass
hard
breakups was Heineke was just super late on the ball.
Yeah, and it
but
might have.
still, he made the play.
Yeah, I mean that's
There
going to
was
happen on Sundays.
there was a completion to, maybe it was Hemingway. It was to one of the second, third string tight ends, where it was a completion, but he would have been decapitated.
Yes.
It would have been
Hemingway
a
slid down.
major
Yeah.
collision.
Yeah, Hemingway
I
dropped
mean,
down.
Reeves
for
was
us.
in position to blast it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of position, unfortunately for safeties, where they get ejected.
Yeah.
Because,
Right.
like, there's no way for him to make that hit in a fashion that isn't targeting or whatever.
It's a 15-yard fine, $25,000, 15-yard penalty, $25,000 fine, and an ejection.
Yeah, the way Ron talks about Reeves, he just strikes me as someone who's going to be on this team one way or another. And today he's really showed out, and I think he's just a good story and a very nice find by the old staff, and a good find by Ron to keep developing him. That's my one thing. Jeremy Reeves, keep an eye out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. My one thing, I'm going to ask the big man here a little bit. Watch some Charles Leno today. I hadn't really been able to watch much. Wanted to watch him. Swag meter for O-lineman is usually pretty low, right, Pete?
Very low, as low as it gets.
He's got J's on, though.
That helps.
It was pretty juicy.
Yeah.
So,
Between the numbers and the lack of sleeves and like visors, the only thing they can do is really have cool cleats. So good for him.
Trent had swag. Trent oozed swag.
True.
Leno wears the capri
The tights.
tights.
JP
that
wears
are-
those too when he works out.
I do.
Yeah.
Remember when Trent and Morgan wore those dress shirts? at
Yes,
practice
what a
one day,
weird-
and then they got their asses kicked.
One
by
time
the
they were
Colts?
wearing Santa Claus outfits.
Yeah,
Remember
under
that?
the-
That's
yeah, under-
amazing. Okay, back to Leno.
So, are we getting swag on Leno?
No, we're going to talk football now.
Damn it.
Really fast feet.
Yeah.
Really quick feet. But he's small, dude. So he's listed at 6'3", 302.
You think he's sub 3?
Typically, a tackle is going to be – the height is whatever. These guys are all going to be big, right? But, like, typically your tackle's going to be 6'4", 330. And so I look like – nobody's Trent, but Trent's 6'5", 325. Morgan had to have been – I mean, what –
But
Morgan's 6'6". It had to be 330.
When you're on the offensive line, that you can win.
I nailed that. 6'6", 330 for Morgan. I mean, let's just talk about, like, Cornelius Lucas.
He's
Well, he's
enormous.
huge.
What's Cosby?
6'8", 330. Cosme –
Cosby's 6'6", 330.
no, I don't think he's that big yet, but I think they'll add weight to him. They've got Cosme at 6'7", 310. So I'm just saying, like, Leno's been in the league. He's not adding weight at this point, right? Like,
Yeah.
You can win.
and so here's where I talked with a couple people over the last 2 days. I had one very positive discussion with Jarrett Patterson. I think I'm very curious how that shakes out. You got to get through preseason and everything. Like, that kid will have a real opportunity in preseason. People really like the way he runs. Checked in with folks from the Midwest on Leno. Yeah.
When they signed him, I said he's the Bears' Morgan Moses. You know, like
Is he?
up and
Might
up
be
and
like
da-
the
up
CBS
and down.
version.
Listen,
So I've had someone I trust media-wise in Chicago say he's a good player. I've had somebody in the scouting world tell me they had to leave a tight end over there a lot. And that was part of the decision because Chicago cut him. And maybe they want to be able to move. I mean, they made moves around it, but I just think that's a situation to watch. I'm not worried about the size. He's proven he can be a left tackle in the NFL at his size. It just stands out to me that he's not as big as other left tackles.
There has been a good amount of pressure on the quarterbacks, and there's various factors why, but both tackles need to get it together a little bit. Luckily, they have the time, but they need to get it together. Mitch, your response?
yeah, no, I was just gonna say as you talk about it, Leno, you can win as a tackle. You win with size, or you win with speed, or you're Trent Williams and you just win no matter what. And Leno is a crafty veteran, I would say. We just talked to Chase Young up at the podium and talked about Leno and his pass sets, and I was able to
He's got fast feet, man.
He's able to fool Chase in whether he's going to be aggressive, drop back, whether he's going to use his hands,
Cagey.
the way that he's going to go about attempting to block him. And Chase loves it because he's like, he keeps me on my toes. I gotta switch up the way that I'm rushing, and I'm trying. You know, it's a chess game in some regards. Bringing up chess again, and you're seeing.
Shut it.
And I just think you're seeing. I think you're seeing a different kind of tackle. Look at what the Broncos did. You know, in the 90s or whatever, when they went with the smaller O line that was quicker and fast feet, moving more, versus the old school guys who were all 3 feet, like just big dudes that would get in the way. I think Leno is a veteran. I think he's going to be crafty. Certainly, it's going to be something to watch because by no means is he. I think he's going to be as good at left tackle as Morgan Moses was in previous years at right tackle. And as we know, Washington fans had a lot of consternation when it came to Moses. So let's hope Leno plays well. But I think it's going to be a similar feeling as we watch him play out there on the left side.
Sweet fancy Moses.
This is not football, but before we get to Fitz, thank you to Max Scherzer. I think you're gone, and you mean a lot. It's the best free agent signing this city's ever had in any sport.
Yeah, thank you for the World Series and being such a profoundly
being a
impactful
badass.
athlete. Yeah, everything you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
and more.
I think that was a good discussion, boys. Do you want to go to Fitz?
Yeah, hopefully
do.
Scherzer goes to the Mets.
Absolutely not.
Go F yourself, man.
9:30 hydration station. Be there. Thank you for listening. You made it this far. I owe you a beer. Here comes Fitz.
The Podium, an Olympic podcast from NBC, will bring you deep into the stories and events that have defined the game's past and will define the Tokyo Games. But we'll also give you an intimate look into the unseen details that only the athletes themselves can tell.
I'm sitting in these giant inflated boots that come up your butt.
My grandma tends to hoard the medals and the trophies.
That's something that will just automatically get you stopped by airport security is, what's in your bag? Oh, it's a gold medal.
Tune in for weekly episodes wherever you listen to podcasts.
Pleasure to talk to Washington football team quarterback, Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Seemed like a really crisp end of practice there. A couple nice throws to Logan and giving Terry a chance down the field. How do you feel like you're getting in rhythm with your receivers?
Well, it was day 2 of practice, but I feel like we've got a good rapport already. We're developing. It's nice to have a bunch of different guys that we can spread the ball out to, and so that's been my thing that's impressed me the most through off season and just looking at the roster. There's a lot of playmakers on this team, a lot of guys that when they get the ball in their hands can be special, and so that part of it gets me really excited about the year.
And it seems like between Logan and even yesterday I saw some quick stuff with Adam Humphries. If you're feeling pressure or if the ball just needs to get out, you've got guys that maybe you're building that trust with, or you knew Humphries from before. Yeah,
and me and Hump, I mean, we kind of picked up where we left off. He's a quarterback's dream in terms of the way he sees the field, very similar to what we see. Just how crisp he is with his routes, how hard he is to cover, but how he can find those open spaces in zone too. And Logan, on the other hand, big body, a guy that if he's covered, he's not really covered a lot of the time because he has, that basketball player type body. He can go and get it. And again, seeing the field like a quarterback, finds those open spots.
His length is crazy. The one ball on the sideline that he went up for, I mean, that's a big target for you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to throw somebody like that.
Speaking of the fun, we're only 2 days in, and it's only 5 days down here in Richmond, but how are you enjoying having fans back and being the guy for a new organization?
The fans are great, even though it's a smaller setting, it's a training camp setting, just having some cheers and some boos, and it's just a little more normal, Last year was so strange for everybody, and specifically for us in the NFL, not having any fans, having to bring our own energy. Sometimes you're playing off the fans, especially the home fans with the momentum, and it'll be so much fun for all of us this year to be able to give that to them.
I was texting with somebody last night that works in the NFL, not with Washington, kind of getting ready for today's interview, and he was telling me that last year is the best tape you've ever put together. How do you feel about your game going into this fall?
Yeah, I think, and I've said this in multiple interviews, but as weird as it sounds, I mean, I'm better right now than I've been at any point during my career. Physically I feel good, but it's not necessarily at this position all about the physical, at least my style of game. So I feel great. I've kind of been able to incorporate and apply some of the lessons I've learned, especially in the last few years, to my game, to different offenses, and I feel like I'm in a good place right now.
You said in one interview that you feel like the best opportunity you've gotten in your career. Now that you're a few days into camp and really getting to start grinding it out with the rest of the offense, how do you feel like this team can perform offensively this fall?
Well, I think we're going to put all our focus and energy into each day, and I like the way we came out yesterday, having had that long lull in July of not being around each other. The carryover with the knowledge from the guys in OTAs and minicamp to that first day was really impressive. And so I think we've laid a good baseline. But now, I'm new. We've got some new guys. There's some new stuff. We just have to continue to build on that and continue to get better every day. And we're on the right path right now, but we've got a long way to go.
So we talk plenty of football here, but how is Ryan Fitzpatrick the dude? It looks like you got your beard trimmed. I know that you had to get family, kids settled in the DC area. Like, how is all that going?
It's tough, man. That's the part that, a lot of times fans, they see you as a football player, and there's so much other stuff going on in my life right now, just like all the other players, just like everybody else in the world. So the family's moved out to Virginia. We're kind of getting everybody squared away, with schools and sports and figuring all that out, and where to shop, what grocery store to go to, all those little things. But they're here with me. I'm really excited about it, and I think it'll be a fun year to be in this area for them as well.
I like Wegmans a lot if you need a grocery store.
When I was in Buffalo, we learned about Wegmans. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal.
Did you see the guy that had your Bills jersey out here?
I saw him yesterday.
Yeah. With the I'm a dad with 2 young kids. You're a dad with lots of kids, lots of ages. The COVID stuff, they're telling us now that we have to mask up because the kids can't get the shots yet or whatever. How are you handling the pandemic as it's not quite going away?
Well, I think, we follow whatever the guidelines at school. We're going to be wearing masks. We're going to wear a mask. Kids that are old enough for me that can get vaccinated have been vaccinated. As soon as they say we can vaccinate the other ones, we will. But we're just trying to follow all the protocols and procedures just like everybody else. But last year they got used to wearing a mask at school, and we were in Florida and everything else was a little bit different in terms of outdoor activities and sports. And so we'll just my kids, they've moved so many times, they've been in so many different situations that it was almost normal for them. Oh, we've got to change and do something else. Okay, we got to change and do something else. That's just how they've grown up, and they adapt very well to what we throw at them.
My older daughter had to wear the mask in school. I'd pick her up from school. She'd just keep her mask on. Like, it was just second nature. She didn't even think about it. We did hear Ron Rivera earlier this week talk about his frustrations with the lack of the low vaccination rate for Washington. The quarterback's a natural leader. You've been in this league a long time. Have you said anything to the guys how you feel?
Well, it's a personal choice. I mean, I've had guys come and ask me questions. Either guys that have been vaccinated or unvaccinated guys have come, and we've had discussions about it. But at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. And my personal choice and what I do and what I do with my family can be very different from somebody else's. But for me, that was the choice that I made to get vaccinated.
What's your biggest goal during training camp? A guy that's kind of seen it all in the league. What do you hope to accomplish during this month?
I want to feel more comfortable with Scott Turner. It's just him spitting out a play and me knowing exactly what he's thinking and why he's calling it. I want to be able to be thinking about plays that can be called and for him to spit those into my ear, just so we can get on the same page a little bit. I feel like the offseason helped out a lot. I've got a much better understanding after those practices of what's expected of me on certain play calls and why he's calling them. I also just want to develop a chemistry with the guys, get in a rhythm, have them know my voice, my cadence, and just be able to push the tempo a little bit, put pressure on defenses, and that stuff comes with being out here on the practice field and working on it.
How did you take, and I'm sorry to ask you this, the Suns loss?
Oof. It was tough. It was tough. Selfishly, after they got up 2-0, I wanted there to be a Game 5.
We talked to you in Tahoe that weekend when you said that.
I wanted there to be a Game 5 because I wanted to go. Now, prices were up there, so
sure.
I got a little cheap and said we'll watch from home. But my son was devastated. He had been a Suns fan for 3 weeks, and he may have a Giannis jersey now. I don't know, but that was tough to see. They had a great season.
I bet. Ryan, thank you very much. Can you just real quick confirm or deny, if you can, was the beard trimmed?
No, I mean, maybe a little off the lip, but there was nothing else that was trimmed, no.
Is it not hotter in this heat with
I just don't, everything here is way cooler than it was in Miami, Tampa, Houston, Tennessee, so I know I've got the AC blowing on me right now, but this is beautiful.
All right, thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you to Max Scherzer. I think you're gone, and you mean a lot. It's the best free agent signing this city's ever had in any sport.